Integrative Psychotherapy is to guide you through the ins and outs of what we're trying to do with this course, what we are doing with this course, and the rationale behind it. I mean, one of the things that we're in a very changing world. The world is changing. The world changed incredibly during the pandemic, the thing that we don't like to refer to, but we do know is still out there, or the results of it are still out there. And the pandemic opened up, it's really interesting, it opened up a world for psychotherapy that perhaps we were not too used to pre-pandemic times. In other words, no, we're all here. Basically, we all moved online, and that opened up the world for us with regards to psychotherapy and delivering psychotherapy, and also the different types of people who were able to come and connect with us in the psychotherapy arena. Typically, when we were in practice pre-pandemic, a lot of people, we had our offices, we had our therapy rooms, people would come to visit us. So we had a catchment area, kind of knew the type of people you were going to be having coming in, the mindsets that the people would be having when they were coming into us. Now, with this openness, with the fact that many of us are practicing, I mean, my practice is virtually exclusively online now. The world has opened up. We are seeing people from not just diverse areas of the country that we are in, but diverse areas of the world are coming to us. So we've got a huge opportunity to meet with many different people, help many different people, but we're meeting with people from different backgrounds, different cultures, different belief systems, belief structures, and so on. We are now global consultants, and as global consultants, we need to take this into consideration, and we need to have a much more global perspective as therapy. But as I say, we are now looking at therapy from a much more global perspective, and what we're doing is we're encompassing the true diversity of people that are out there, the people who come into our consulting rooms, our virtual consulting rooms, and also our physical consulting rooms. We've got a world that's opening up with perspectives on identity, people's own personal identities, which as therapists, we need to be taking into consideration when we are working with our clients, because we're working with the person, not with a political idea, not with a personal prejudice or anything like that. That person in front of us is the most important person in this consultation. And as therapists, we need to have a respect and an understanding for that particular person. And one of the things that I'm really pleased about is the fact that I've had this opportunity to pioneer this course with the LCCH Asia group in order to really hone in and address the needs of a diverse client population. And let's turn it around, let's turn the mirror around and look at us, our diverse needs as therapists. We mustn't forget that, yes, we're therapists, but we've also got to remember we're human beings before we were ever therapists. And it's our humanity that is allowing us to be able to interact and to work with the clients that we see. And sometimes, we've all had this, a client may present to us that we feel challenged by an aspect of their life. And most of us very equipped to be able to cope with that, but perhaps we're not. And irrespective of who we are, and one thing I've learned through delivering this course is that we all have something to learn about ourselves and our reactions to people. We all have something to learn about how our clients perhaps don't overtly say things about their cultural background and so on, but with cultural awareness and identity awareness, they will open up, and you can sometimes find some incredibly poignant elements in there. And so that's what this course is being created to do, is to be able to open up the perspectives for therapists in the delivery of therapy. We don't just teach hypnosis, we teach a wide range of other therapy disciplines, and we are aware that there is a vast cornucopia of different therapy disciplines that are out there. And very much in this world in which we're living in now, the climate that we live in for therapy, it's about integrating what we have, what we know, our approaches, to identify the most appropriate pathway for change for our clients. So that is what integrative psychotherapy is about. We've gone to the days, I think, of one size fits all, one therapy fits all. Yes, one therapy, whatever our therapeutic backgrounds are, they are very, very valid. That's what brought us into this wonderful world of helping people. But I think we've gone beyond. I remember when I first started training way back in the early 90s, it seems an awful long time ago now, but it was if you were a hypnotherapist, that's all you did. And no, every other therapy was rubbish. You should come for hypnotherapy, please. But my training brought in diverse approaches, and I saw the value of that. Being able to take what I have, my toolkit, to look at my client, work with my client, understand my client, and create a journey for change based around everything that I had to hand, but in an integrative way. So how can I bring this and then move into that, move back to this, do something else, and so on. And so that's what I love about integrative approaches. I love the term tailored healing because it really is. Because with an integrative approach, it doesn't just stick with psychotherapy per se. Any therapeutic intervention, whether it be through medicine, are we working with medical professionals who are perhaps prescribing a drug, or a client who perhaps is going to be going into surgery for some reason or another? How can we work there and bring our skills together with all of that? So we're very much looking at the individual, looking at our skill set, looking outside of our skill set to find other people with that skill set. One of the things that I often do when I'm working with stress management is my client and I agree, might refer them for nutritional advice, because nutrition plays a big role in the way that we handle stresses in our lives and everything else that goes out from that. Stress, you're moving out into the immune system, etc., etc. So you kind of take a more holistic, as Naria said earlier, holistic 360-degree look at the client and what we can do with that particular client. It's an exciting way of working. And I remember in the old days, we used to hold on to, right, I'm only going to do hypnotherapy because if I refer to anyone else, they'll take my client away. I discovered very rapidly that if when I was referring people to others, they would refer back to me. They wanted my skill set, I needed their skill set, and so we create a wonderful referral network between different disciplines. And so it's one of the beautiful things about integrative psychotherapy that we're doing. So what we'll do, I'm going to talk a little bit now about the course, its structure, what we'll be learning, how this course fits into the full pantheon of advanced practitioner diploma in integrative psychotherapy, that qualification. Okay. So I kind of alluded at the purpose of the course here. I mean, we're looking at the influence that a wide variety of experiences have on a client's experience of their particular issue and their experience of the journey that they're going to go through when they are exploring their route to resolution. And it can be a very, very diverse experience. Think of something, say for example a so-called, I say so-called simple approach, therapy like smoking cessation, which we all know is not straightforward. But with a smoker, and I hold my hands up, I'm an ex-smoker, there are so many different influences that are being put on us with regard to someone's smoking behavior and the reasons they give up. And we need to look into them: family influences, social influences, stress-related influences, identity influences, wanting to fit in, and so on. I came from a family of smokers, so I had a huge family influence as a kid on my smoking. I didn't start smoking until I was in my mid-teens, or late teens rather. No, early 20s, good grief. But I could see the family influence and the stress-related influence that came in there. So we have to have that awareness there. And it provides a framework, a format for us as practitioners to bring together all aspects of experience that we have. So our therapy experiences, our personal experiences, we cannot underestimate the influence that our personal journey has on our ability to guide people through their journey. So it brings together all of this. I love the fact that it is really pulling everything together to really understand the unique nature of our clients' experience, the unique nature of how they have developed their nail biting or their PTSD or their eating disorder or whatever it might be, the unique nature of the way in which they see themselves integrating and interacting with the world around them. It's a very eye-opening journey that this course goes on, and it's also a very eye-opening journey, and I'm still learning as I sit with my clients from a variety of different perspectives, looking at their journey and how I can connect with their individuality. So the course in itself, the Certificate in Integrative Psychotherapy, CIP, is a standalone course in its own right. So we know, it's a course, it's a pretty powerful course in what it gets us to do, but it's a course in its own right. And hey, most of you probably realize this, but it is a required module in our Advanced Practitioner Diploma in Integrative Psychotherapy, the APDIP course that we run. And what this basically means is you can do this course, and that's, you get a qualification in the Certificate in Integrative Psychotherapy, but if you're wanting to do the diploma level qualification, it's one part of that journey. And basically the APDIP and the CIP are open to all trained psychotherapists, people who are working with the mind, who have their various diverse different approaches of working with you. You do not need to be a hypnotherapist. One of our branches, obviously, we are a hypnotherapy training organisation. That's how we were created, but we cater to all types of therapy, and the integrative psychotherapy course is very much for people from all different psychotherapy backgrounds. So kind of giving you an understanding of how the as I tend to refer to it, is pulled together. So we've got the ABPP course, which is the Addictive Behaviours and Psychological Pain course. Now, that course is very much based around hypnotherapy skills. So that one's only open to hypnotherapists only. And within that, it says it on the label. So we're looking at addiction, addictive behaviors, and psychological pain. So going much deeper into the deeper depressions, looking at bereavement, end of life experience, and so on. And a lot of level of training at this level is about working with trauma. So there's an element of trauma treatment comes into this. And within this course, we teach a little bit of quantum psychology and quantum therapy. So there's a bit of belief system work comes in with that type of energy approach. Then there's EMDR, eye movement desensitization and reprocessing course, which is open to all psychotherapists. Anyone who's a qualified psychotherapist wants to come onto that and learn the skills, then that's all part and parcel of what we have to offer. There's the ego state therapy course, again open to all psychotherapists. Ego states is a very, very powerful dissociative technique that goes way beyond what people might know of as parts therapy. Part comes out and what's it doing, agreement to make the change, put it back in. This goes, it's almost like, it's like working, I call it family therapy for the mind. There are lots of different ego states. Each can be very productive, each can be destructive, or can be have problems, and so we work with those individual states within that course. And those of you doing EMDR, the ego states are sometimes thought to be by the EMDR world as well as nodes or the targets that we focus on in EMDR. There's CBT. Our CBT course, very much an REBT bent to that one, open to all psychotherapists. So it's like CBT skills that we can bring into our journey with psychotherapy. And then there's this course, Certificate in Integrative Psychotherapy, which is open to all psychotherapists. Now, I have mentioned the H word here with hypnotherapy, and some people might be thinking, I'd like to do this, but I don't know hypnotherapy, so I won't be able to do the course. Well, we have the course arranged. So if you want to go for the APDIP qualification, you're asked to do EMDR, ego state therapy, and this course, and either CBT or ABPP itself, the addictive behaviors and psychological pain element here. So this course, how do we deliver this course? So with this course, it's a very interactive course that we have created. A very interactive course because we're exploring many different concepts from various different perspectives. So we spread it over weekends, and people who were with us or know us already, we do 4 hours per day at weekends. And so, we have the live sessions held over the different weekends. There is an introduction session that we always tend to do those midweek, and that's only 1 hour. So, 4 hours on Saturday, 4 hours on Sunday is what we would typically be doing, with, of course, a break in there. We have our learning zone. So the learning zone, which is Moodle, for those of you used to Moodle, which is where a lot of pre-module learning is in there. So we ask that you engage with that material before coming into each of the weekend sessions, which basically primes you to be able to fully engage with the discussions, with the case studies that we present for discussion, and all the other material that we work with during the live sessions. Very much we've designed this course for reflective learning, being able to reflect on what we're saying, reflect on how it can apply to your current client base, future client base, even past client base. So getting you to think around elements within that. And it is a deliberately challenging set of material that we present because people are complex people, and sometimes we skirt around the edges of the various elements that we're going to present on this course without really thinking about it. And you'll see as we go through what we're doing here. I have to say that people who've gone through and come up with some of the more challenging of the challenging of the concepts, have come out of the course and wow, my mind's been opened up to that. So within it, the course, we do give space to discuss personal issues relevant to the class. We do give space to be able to share your own personal experience. It is a confidential space within class. So just to bear in mind, and I'll reinforce this soon, but it is a confidential space. So what's shared in class stays in class, essentially. And It is built a module by module basis. We start off with the basics and then we're just layering in new concepts. Each of the stages you go through does refer to the previous modules. So it's a building block approach that we take with regard to this. And we do have 80% live attendance requirement, and we do encourage 100%, as much preferred. It's a shared journey that everyone's going through, and we really do like to encourage the building of a community of people who we can connect with. And we do video the live sessions, so they're there for you to refer to in your own time. They don't replace live attendance, but they're there for you to go back to. What were we discussing? What was that point that was made? So you're able to go back to those. I will say only the main room live sessions are recorded. When we put you into breakout rooms, those are not recorded, and they are truly private spaces. And we do have a continuous observation assessment with a final MCQ assessment. It's not that onerous, it's just making sure you understand and have followed through on that. So that's there. And as you know, I will once again say, confidentiality is maintained throughout the course. Anything that's videoed will not be shared with anyone except people in your course. So that's there for you. And it's also a space where we are allowed to think. It's a space of respect that we create, because there will be people on the course with different beliefs, different backgrounds, different sexualities, genders, and so on. And so we encourage an atmosphere of exploration. We never ever have an atmosphere where people feel threatened or unable to speak or scared to speak because of who they are or a belief structure. So that it's a learning experience. It's what we do as therapists anyway. So just a quick breakthrough with the modules. So the first module is your introduction to psychotherapy. So we've got the 4 pillars of psychotherapy, which essentially is CBT, psychodynamics, humanistic, and systems approaches. We'll explore what they mean. We'll explore the 4 pillars of integrative psychotherapy, what they are, the 6 pillars of lifestyle medicine. Lifestyle medicine is a big thing that's going on at the moment, where we're not looking just at the medical treatment of people. Medicine plays an important part, but we're looking at physical activity, sleep, we're looking at stress management, relationships, we're looking at substance abuse within lifestyle medicine as well, and how that fits into what we're doing. And as part of that first module, we're looking at an overview of an integrative psychotherapy session framework. So what you'll find is we start something in this, we get you understanding what these elements are. We then create a basic framework that at the very end of the course, we will go back and we will fill in that framework based around your learning, your knowledge, and your experience. The framework is going to be an individual framework for each and every person on that course. The second module that we have here is cultural intelligence in therapy. Basically, we are introducing the concepts of how religion, spirituality, other areas of culture have a significant influence within the therapy process and the development, maintenance, and removal of symptoms. So we are acknowledging that area in there. So it's, the cultural intelligence. Basically, cultural intelligence is your understanding and your acceptance of other cultures and the role that they play in somebody else's life and also in your life as well, and how those two things can clash, how they can be brought together. and how that can be done with, of course, the therapeutic journey. We're looking at some assessment tools there for the biopsychosocial assessments of your clients, also mind, body, spirits assessment tools. We cannot ignore the role that spirituality is now having within psychotherapy. I don't know about any of you, but I certainly know that the number of people who almost come out to me as having a spiritual belief system. Spirituality does not necessarily mean religion. Spirituality is a very wide concept that we will explore, but people still seem a little bit weird about talking about it. And our role as therapists is to help encourage that. So we've got ways of working with that. And one of the things that we'll be doing, for those of you who have done the meta model, we've got a reminder of the meta model, the powerful questioning approach from NLP. And for those of you who haven't, well, it's there, because we'll also be looking at culture-focused questions, how we can use questioning techniques to gently and respectfully find out about our client's culture, the great concept of what their cultural background is. As I say, it might be something to do with race, it might be something to do with the group of people they hang around with as friends, their friendship groups. It could be to do with a family culture and so on. And we further take this a little bit further, looking at the influence of race and looking at the influence of gender and sexuality in therapy. So essentially, we're looking at introducing the concept of personal identity and how we can help, how we as therapists can understand our clients' personal identity, and that's how part of the therapy process they learn to understand their own concept of personal identity. And within that, so we are looking at sex, we are looking at gender and sexuality, which are words that get bandied around all the time, but we're looking at what they really mean, and especially what they mean in this current understanding of the world that we live in, and how it has a significant impact on individuals and their problems and their journey to resolution. We're looking at managing issues of gender and sexuality in therapy, helping to understand when clients are talking about their gender identity, their sexuality, and so on, helping them to understand and work with those issues as they relate to their presenting issue, and other issues surrounding sexuality and gender as well. So bringing those in, people who might be uncomfortable with who they perceive they are, and where that discomfort comes from, and how perhaps we can help them to feel more comfortable about themselves. And also very much, we are a global world now, a global community, managing the issues of race in therapy with regards to working with our clients. So the wide ranging elements of race that come in. And also looking at this concept of microaggressions. So where unconscious racial undertones might come in that are offensive to others, that clients may not understand, and let's hold our hands up as therapists, we may not even realize we're doing. And also how to work with overt racist comments that might be raised, issue uttered during a therapy consultation on behalf of your client. So we're moving upwards now from personal identity into the identity within the family. So we're looking at how families, greater concept of family, from our biological families through to our chosen families of friends, through to our global families of connections and so on, play an influence. So we're looking at genograms, we're looking at systems approaches within all of that, where we're looking at how, going back generations, how generations of our families have influenced the way in which we live in the world today. And as part of that, we're also looking at this thing called the imago, which is essentially a template for the way in which we conduct personal relationships, intimate relationships, friendships, work relationships. and how that can play a role. So we look at understanding and creating genograms. And, it's a fascinating experience for you guys, being able to create your own genogram, work with that, and also how to guide a client through that process and what to do with that information, exploring the systems approach to psychotherapy, so within the family systems and other systems that are out there, so how others influence us. We have a lovely a lovely approach to working with our clients, unpicking the interconnectedness of the family influence on them, the circular questioning that we use. And as I say, with the Imago, we're looking at the Imago within relationship therapy. So we're not teaching you to be relationship therapists here. What we're looking at is having people who come in and helping them to understand whether or not there is a learnt pattern of behavior that comes from previous interactions with significant others in your life that is driving your behavior or the client's behavior. And hey, hold the mirror up to ourselves, we can learn a lot from this as well, but it's driving part of the problem that comes in. And within that, we have an approach with the Imago dialogue, how to get encourage our clients to be able to talk about this influence that significant others, major attachment figures, have had on the way we interact with other significant others in our lives. And that word attachment comes in. So of course we do explore attachment, but also when attachments go wrong, we look at basically attachment trauma, how early attachment styles can be very, very positive in our lives, but also how they can be quite destructive and be a main part of maintaining a problem for our clients. So we've got attachment trauma, psychosocial issues, but also, for those of you who like a little bit of science, in this one we just put a little bit in about the neurology, how attachment trauma does affect the brain. It's not just a psychological issue. There is a neurological element that comes in. If there's a neurological element that's come in, it doesn't matter, because the neurology drives emotion, emotion drives neurology. So got that element that's just as an understanding there. And then at the very end, we've got the consolidation. This module says basically gets you to explore your own unique template for practice based on material learned. Integrative psychotherapy is about you, me, the individual, and how we bring our individuality into our particular journey of therapy that we're guiding our clients through. Their individuality, our individuality as therapists come together, and if we get it right, is amazing way to help somebody overcome something. So we go back, we revisit the framework for integrated psychotherapy, and then we've got this opportunity here to discuss everything that we've been talking about within the course. And as part of that, we're going to present throughout this whole thing, you're being presented with a variety of different complex, let's just put it that way. They're real case studies, but they're complex, very complex, based around people that your lecturers have worked with, and given it a chance to explore individual case studies as we go through each of the modules. And then we have a very complex, real one for you to consider there. And out of this, you'll create your own, you'll fill in the colour within your framework for integrative psychotherapy and the way forward. And so that's where we go. For those interested in our accreditations, we are accredited by a variety of people and approved by a variety of people out there. A lot of excitement about this course.